Right, peoples? I'm streaming now, so y'all not allowed to be retarded. It's physically not allowed. Stop the retardation.
And 9, you technically do that on your lonesome, so we can't really help you not.
No, you absolutely right.
Damn,
You absolutely
Yami.
right. But right, you ain't gonna be racist in my chat. I'm gonna have to, you know,
I'm not gonna be
kick you out and block you if you do that shit.
Racist, though,
I mean, I might throw a funny joke here and there, but besides that, no, I ain't doing shit.
What is up, viewers? We are discussing some interesting shit. I think this is the coolest thing in any... That's the second most interesting thing in fighting games, bro. Come on, bro. I'm talking about how to, like, fucking own your opponent, bro. Listen, y'all don't understand, right? What the, like, y'all know y'all hopped in the stream immediately because this is what y'all trying to see. Y'all want to know how to dominate your opponent. Body them for free. Literally be inside of their mind for a little bit. You want to put a collar around their neck and lead them around with a chain like they a fucking dog or some shit, right? You want to be this person's master, okay? Like you when you try and do things of this sort, what you want to do is what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is you're a white master, right? You're a white person back in the South during slave times, right? And you just caught this person trying to run away, right? So now you gotta whoop their ass, right? That's just how it works. That's just how it worked back then. That's not even racist. That's not even racist. That's just how life was back then. It's unfortunate, but that's how it was. What I'm talking about is how to bait a fucking burst. I personally think this is the coolest thing in fighting games. Period. Like baiting a burst is like the coolest shit you'll ever do. And I'm not a fucking expert in this type of stuff, but I am quite. But listen.
Oh, hi, I'm Sunny, but then again, that doesn't really count.
Well, that's Sunny.
I did it to Sunny. No, I did it to Soy. I bait Soy's burst. I bait Soy's burst with Susanoo.
I baited TJ's.
No,
hold on, wait. We're not gonna talk about like the 3 billion times I countered your burst in Guilty Gear, right? How you feel about the fighter situation? It's bullshit. It really is, but like...
You heard me?
That's it, bet. Let's play Central Fiction right now.
Alright, listen, Yami, you causing distortion, alright? You are not aiding in my rehabilitation, okay? So you must leave. There we go. What's up, anime? So anyway, like I was talking about. So I baited Anime's burst, I've baited JR's burst, I've baited your burst, I bait Sunny's burst, I bait Soy's burst, I bait Jump Shot's burst. I have some qualifications. I have some qualifications, right? I've never grabbed your burst. That's something I've never done. So anyway. So baiting bursts is something that... You know, a lot of people, once they get at an internet... Jump shot. I'm making a tutorial right now. Come on, bro. Making a tutorial.
My face was never bursted.
Yeah, dude, I literally have the replay, nigga. Anyway. Okay. Baiting bursts is one of those things that... hi, Soy. So baiting bursts is one of those things that once you reach an intermediate level, it's like one of the first things you want to learn how to do, right? Because it's cool as shit. You want to own your opponent's mind, and baiting the burst is the great way to just be like, yeah, I own you, right? Huh? He's streaming.
I'm streaming right now, and I'm teaching shit. I have some credentials in baiting bursts. Oh yeah, bro, I'll teach you all of the Leo stuff. Anyway, so when you're baiting a burst, and just so everybody is clear, this stuff, I'm showing it in Guilty Gear because there's a training option that allows me to set the computer to burst after a certain number of hits, right? So that's why I'm doing it here. But what I'm about to say apply. Okay, let me grab your fucking burst.
Okay, let me grab your fucking burst.
This man's trying to grab both.
I'm great at grabbing burst. Fuck you mean?
Who's DeLorean?
DeLorean is my friend. Say hi, DeLorean.
You mean the car? No,
there we go. See, I grab bursts. Anyway. So, not grabbing burst isn't in Blaze by DeLorean. But anyway, the way I'm about to show you how to bait burst, this works in Blazblue, this works in Guilty Gear, this works in Cross Tag, though you have to go about it a little bit differently. This works in... Okay, Stick, leave me alone. Alright, there we go.
For sure, bursts don't really exist in Undernight.
Not really, but this also the principle kind of works for, it kind of works in fighters, but the way you gotta fight is different. So it's a little interesting how you gotta do that, but that's the basic principle, right? So, baiting bursts. Baiting bursts requires something that not a lot of people have starting off, and that's situational awareness. What that means is that you understand the situation, what's happening in a match, right? So let me give an example, right? Okay.
Soy's just a lurker. Alright, fuck it. Sorry, continue, man.
Alright, so let's say that, you know, it's around the end of the match, right? You are fighting your opponent.
Fucking Taker.
Alright, so let's say this is the situation, right? You got your opponent in the corner, right? Now you're doing your block string, all that type of shit. Then boom, right? You land that big ass shit, right? You land a move like this. Your opponent has burst. His health is low. And this combo is going to kill. So what do? Right? You know your opponent is going to burst. Maybe they may burst after the first hit. They may burst after the second hit. But they're going to burst. Right? Because they have no option. This is like final round. They have a little bit of health. And their only way of escaping this combo that will kill them is to burst. Right? So... when you know that your opponent's only option is to burst, you know they're going to do it. They're not going to just let you take the round, right? That's just not something that they're going to do.
Big brain like your boy jump shot.
Stop it.
That's not big brain, because there are OSs that allow me to still kill you. You'll just die. You burst and I bait it, or you don't burst and you die. That's literally the options. Anyway, like I was saying, basically, when you have to be aware of the situation, right? And also you have to be aware of what your opponent knows, right? For example, great, I'm awesome. So basically, let's say like it's an intense situation like this, you know, final round. You and your opponent are both kind of throwing out moves, you know, stuff like that, right? And then you land a hit, as I mentioned before. Your opponent is going to try and escape that, right? That's their option there. Or another option. Let's say that it is... Let me tweak the health a little bit.
God, you should have not invited me to this party.
Let's say that...
I have to fight Soy's Taker, that's what's wrong.
No.
I didn't invite Soy. Soy just joined. It's open. Anyway, right?
Should have made it private.
Let's say that's round start, right? Round start. And then you land another big move, right? Basically something that, excuse me, makes your opponent like scared. Because, for example, oh, here's a better example. Let me put on counter hit. Right? Okay. Let me show you what this combo does, right? So let's say round start and you land this move right here. That that move does a pretty big chunk of damage, but watch what happens after that.
Get off me.
Well, I did that wrong,
Really?
but...
Really, so you grab on wake up, and what is this line?
He's playing Tager, right? That's just what you do with Tager. Okay, I swear to God I can do this combo. It works, but...
And this is why I don't play Soy and Blazblue, because he's from fucking Hawaii.
Anyway,
Sorry.
so y'all saw what that did to his health, right? Look. Well, if I could actually do it and not be pathetic. Okay, control stick. Let me not suck. Thank you. I actually have to get a new controller. I'm getting one later not today, but probably tomorrow, because I am on winter break and I don't have anything better to do. I know I've been, but y'all see what I'm talking about. This combo does a whole lot of damage. The combo does a whole lot of damage, right? So, in that situation, and your opponent, when your opponent knows that, hey, this is finna do a fuck ton of damage, they are likely going to burst, right? That's just something that's going to happen, right? They don't want to take all that damage at round start. There are a bunch of other situations that you kind of learn just by playing the game of when you're, okay, my opponent is going to want to burst here. You're also going to want to pay real special attention while you're doing combos. Like if this is your first time fighting an opponent, you want to pay very special attention to when they bursted, because you're not going to bait their burst first try. Usually, sometimes you can, but most of the time you can't bait their burst first try. If you can, awesome, but generally you can't. So what that does, hold on, let me collect my thoughts real quick. I didn't script none of this. Okay. Basically, you want to pay attention to your opponent's habits. Once you get a good idea of your opponent's habits, then you can actively go about baiting bursts, right? Are they the type of person that like, okay, I got hit by something big, I need to burst? Or are they like, okay, this combo's almost over, let me burst, right? Is that the type of person they are? You have to, things like that, you kind of want to figure out, you kind of want to understand. And a good player is going to mix up how they burst, but it's all just, it's all situational. But once you get a good understanding of when your opponent is going to burst, then it becomes situational awareness, right? It's no longer, okay, how can I hit my opponent, right? It's deeper than that now. Let me turn off counter hit real quick. 1 second. Where's counter hit? I think it's up. Yeah, it's up. There we go. Okay. It becomes like how can I put, once you figure out when where your opponent likes to burst, it becomes of, okay, how can I make my opponent nervous enough to want to burst? Right? Because that's what bursting is. Bursting, people generally don't burst when they're fully comfortable with being able to tank the combo, right? If they're fully comfortable with being able to tank the combo, they're not going to burst, right? For example, if I just land this, right? If you, like, in this situation, like I said, let's say round start, my opponent was kind of just messing around and I did that, right? They're not bursting this. They're completely comfortable, right? Unless they're like someone new, they're not gonna burst this combo right here. They may burst my corner combo because my corner combo does a whole lot of damage. I messed it up, but y'all understand what I'm saying. They may burst there, but most people are not going to burst until you make them uncomfortable. They will feel that people don't burst until they feel that they are at a severe disadvantage if they do not make you stop what you are doing right now, right? Sometimes people will burst just to avoid your mix-up, right? Well, I did that wrong. Sometimes people will burst in situations like that. People will burst after DP to avoid safe jump. I'll go into like Leo character specific types ways of baiting bursts later. But for the most part, people don't burst until you make them uncomfortable. So you need, as a player, when you want to bait bursts, your goal is to figure out what makes your opponent comfortable and what doesn't, right? And sometimes this is trial and error. And then other times, like I mentioned, there are just situations that are universally make people uncomfortable. For example, final round, both of you have low health. Or maybe not both of you have low health, but maybe you have more health than your opponent. Say like situations like this. Granted, usually one hit in this situation is gonna kill. When you're in situations like this, people are going to burst, especially when they have a burst, right? So, to bait a burst, you want to force them into a situation that makes them uncomfortable, and then you have to kind of just gauge. Honestly, at some points, it's just a guess where they're going to burst, because some people will wait to burst, like, right at the start, or they'll wait to burst towards the end of your string before you go. Maybe they'll wait till the end of your combo to burst. It's all very situational, so you have to be very aware of the situation of the match, and that takes skill, that takes time, that takes you know, just being very familiar with your character, your opponent's character, and the game, really. There is no exception to that. There's no just like, of course there are burst baiting OSs, but there isn't like, okay, even though I know nothing about my opponent's character or my character, I can bait your burst. It just doesn't work like that. You have to be careful, not careful, comfortable with your character, and know the matchup for your opponent's character so that you can put them in a situation they don't like. So that's pretty much baiting bursts. I looked online on how to bait a burst, and there wasn't a whole lot of information. There were, you know, techniques like after when you expect them to burst, jump up and block, stuff like that, or it's like a super hard call out, you could do stuff like this. And all of this works for Blazblue as well. You know, cancel it and then just wait for stuff like that. There are a lot of character specific ways to bait bursts. For example, I'm gonna go into Leo. Where is he? Here he is. Okay. So for Leo, Leo has a counter, right? So, and his, he has a Rekka that can go into his counter, right? So, you know, stuff like that, right? His Rekka leads into mix-ups. It leads into a lot of stuff that people are going to want to avoid. So, you know, baiting bursts with Leo using his counter, which is Dust. Pressing Dust while in back turn stance will allow you to bait a burst. Things like that. He also has things like this. So, like that, he can bait bursts like that because he can block after by pressing P after one of his slash normals, like that. So that stuff's pretty interesting. There's a bunch of character specific ways to bait burst, and there are also like things like burst safe combos. For example, Hazama in Blazblue. Hazama kind of dips in and out from in front of you and away from you in his combos. He'll hit you, knock you away, throw a chain, then he'll come back in your face, hit you some more, throw some more chains, then come back at you and knock you down, right? So when he's away from you and you burst, then he's not going to be next to you, so he won't get knocked away. Where's my set though, 9? No more after the first one you got bodied in 5-1. We've never played Guilty Gear.
Who, you and Yami?
Yeah. We've never
Yeah, y'all
played
never
Guilty
played each
Gear.
other, nor do I remember.
And
y'all.
he's honestly just asking that question to be a troll, so I'm ignoring that. But anyway, so that's pretty much burst basting. Burst baiting. You want to be aware of the situation. You want to be one of the easiest things to take note of is your opponent's health and if they have a burst, right? Because there's no point. Let's say for example your opponent doesn't have a burst, right? Let's say their opponent doesn't have a burst. Where is burst gauge? I'm sure it's here somewhere. It's somewhere. Oh, psych burst. Here we go. Okay. So. Right. So now he doesn't have a burst. Right. Now let's say I'm in a combo situation, and I try to bait his burst. No, it just looks stupid, right? Because he doesn't have a burst. Bursts are 5 frames of startup. That is another thing I want to touch up on. In Guilty Gear, I'm not 100% sure in Blazblue, because I don't really react to it. But in this game, bursts are reactable. So, for example, I know how to do it with Soul. I don't know how to do it with Leo. So let's say, for example, I put my opponent in the air, right? Let's say, like, I know my opponent is going to burst. Okay, let's add it to 5 hits, right? After 5 hits, he's gonna burst. So like that, right? Well, actually, let's give him a burst before we. That's the whole point of this lesson. You have to if your opponent doesn't have a burst, trying to bait a burst makes you look stupid, right? You have to be aware of the situation. You have to know. Okay, like my opponent is at a lower health. He's going to be more anxious. He has a burst. He's more likely to use it here. So now I can bait it. Stuff like that, right? So let's say, well, I can't really show it like this. Let me turn on counter. Actually, let me do this. Like that, right? You can react to burst. Right? You can just, in this game, you can press, with Soul at least, you can press punch until you know they're gonna burst, so you press punch until they're like, okay, he's gonna burst here. You see him burst, and then you just block. Things like that. There's definitely a better way to demonstrate that, but that's just for example purposes. So hopefully y'all get the picture.
Oh, sorry, for some reason my controller disconnected. It's weird.
Do you have the mic coming through your TV? Like sound coming through your TV?
Oh, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, cause it's echoing. I hear myself twice.
That's just my mic.
Oh.
No, that's just my microphone. Sorry.
Alright. But that's that's just okay, let me collect my thoughts. Again, I didn't script any of this, just trying to help people out. Oh, that's a great way to do it. Well, if I can actually do it, because I suck. Yeah, you can react to burst and stuff like that. That's the point I was trying to prove there. Anyway, so yeah, just be aware of the situation. Be aware of situations where your opponent wants to burst. You want to kind of force a burst bait. You want to make your opponent uncomfortable, and that takes opponent knowledge. That takes matchup knowledge. That just takes you know, just knowing what makes your opponent tick, and once you know that type of stuff, you can put them in the situations you know makes them uncomfortable, and then fuck them up, right?
Let your nuts hang.
Exactly. Let them nuts hang.
Oh God.
I'm out, bro.
Anime, where you at? You still ain't got bodied in this Guilty Gear yet. Anime, where you at? Stop hiding.
I don't know where this nigga at. The funniest part is that's on my invite to Blazblue. I'm nowhere, bro.
Honestly, I might just hop on Blazblue, because I really only got on Guilty Gear because I can set the computer to burst, which I wish you could do in Blazblue. Do you know how much easier that would be to learn burst baiting techniques?
Jump shot, beta DP. Sorry, what were you saying? I said jump shot, bait my DP. Nigga, you're just getting hit by all these wake up DPs.
You're telling me to do this in a game I don't play. I'm trying to play.
Which Guilty Gear is this? This is Guilty Gear Rev 2. Guilty Gear XR Rev 2. This is the latest one. This is the one that's at all the tournaments and stuff. Hey, peoples. Hello. Hi.
Sorry, what?
Nothing. I have no problem with y'all conversating and stuff, but if you could please not do so in a manner that disrupts the stream. Thank you. I'm about to end the stream anyway, stream Blazblue instead. Because I've kind of made my point clear, kind of done what I wanted to do. So yeah. That's how you bait a burst. And just keep in mind, once again, everything I mentioned about baiting bursts here also kind of applies to run a set in Guilty Gear. I mean, we can run one in Blazblue. I kind of wanted to get on that. The only reason I got on Guilty Gear is because I could set the computer to burst. I wanted to play Blazblue.
I say jump shot. You literally can't run up on me as I get up.
See, that's jump shot's problem. Even in fighters, I've hit this dude with at least 5 wake-up DPs with Vegeta, right? He's taken out 2 of my characters, but all his characters still have full health, and I will 1v3 this dude and win because he don't read DPs at all. I think he's done it once. And then he fucked up the punish.
He's only done it once on me in our entire fighter's career. And even so, it was it was in a 3v3, so it wasn't even really a legitimate match.
That concludes the stream. This Guilty Gear stream. I'm gonna hop on Blazblue, stream some of that. Maybe do some matches with some friends. You know, the usual. Alright. Stay where you are, people. I'm finna restart the stream on a different game, so just... I know I can set it to burst here, but you can't set it to burst in Blazblue. Can you? I didn't see it.
Nah, you can't set a burst in Blazblue.
We'll check. Stay where you are, people. I'm finna restart the stream.